Recording. Thank you for reminding me. I always forget.
Okay, so Jacob settled in the land of his father, in the land of Canaan. There's one word. His descendants of those are the descendants of Jacob.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this word. This word does mean descendants, but it also can be used metaphorically for something else that we create, such as a story. So these are the stories of Jacob. Sometimes after a word like this, you get a genealogy. Other times you get a story. And here we get a story. So these are the stories of Jacob. Tov Mod. All right, Sarah, we'll see how you've been with your Hebrew. Go ahead and take the next box.
Yeah, not very good. That's what you can say right there. Okay, so I think it's Joseph said Shavuot. I don't know what Shavuot is. I recognize it.
Hold on, I think my connection is a little low. Joseph, what is this word? Ben.
Or that? I don't know.
Anybody help her with Ben?
Son.
It's son and then a number.
That's right. Son of, and this is a nice big number.
Is it of 11?
No, he was a little older than 11. Shavah is 7 and Esrei is 10. So you add the 7 and the 10 together. So he was 17. Son of 17 Shana.
Years.
That's right.
And then that, isn't it Ra'ah famine? That famine?
No. Actually, it does look like famine, but it's not famine. This is his profession. What did Joseph do?
Oh, he's a shepherd. That shepherd. Roe. I thought that was Roe. Yeah?
Yeah, Roe is shepherd. He was a shepherd at Ahav.
Well, I see that he's going to take care of sheep. I see the sheep ahead.
That's right. Good. What is Ahav?
I don't know.
All right. Anybody break that down?
That brother?
Yeah. Ach is brother, and you get the vav. So his brothers. It's plural. This ending here, the Kametz Yod, tells us that this is plural. So he was a shepherd. Et is going to be translated as with here, with his brothers, batzon. And you saw sheep here, so over the flock, or over the sheep. All right.
Now, I have a quick question about et.
Okay, go ahead.
So, does it technically mean with sometimes, or do we just have to supply that because it's sort of implied?
Yeah, so there's a lot of debate about this, and I actually need to do some more research into it. The theory goes that there are two separate words that are spelled Aleph Tav. One is normally spelled with a Hirik, and the other is normally spelled with a Tzere. The one with the Hirik is with, and the one with the Tzere is the direct object marker. But the theory goes that over time they blended together so that you can't tell the difference by just looking at them. You tell the difference by looking at the context. So here it seems that with would be appropriate because for it to be the direct object would be a challenge in the context here.
Mm-hmm.
He was a shepherd, so row A is the direct object. I mean, he wasn't shepherding his brothers. He was a shepherd over his brother. That doesn't make the sheep object, right? So, as hard as I try to make this the direct object, I just can't in my head. So then I have to say, well, then it's probably the other et that was translated.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oftentimes with the Hirik, and when it's, with the Hirik, when you see it with the Hirik, you know that it's with, because it can't be the direct object. So that's the best I can tell you. I should look into it a little bit more one of these days.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful.
All right. Cool. Let's have Lindy pick up there.
Okay, so it's and he was it says he was a young man. The sons of Bilhah, like that's what it translates to, but it's something about the sons of Bilhah.
Yep.
And then the sons of Zilpah and the wives.
Okay, good. So we got all the words, and now we got to put them together. So, and he was a young lad. This et, we have to decide if it's a direct object marker or if it is the same one that we saw earlier, with. So he was a son. It probably is with, because he's not doing anything to the sons of Bilhah or Zilpah. He is a young lad among them or with them. So that's probably how we're going to translate it. And he was a lad with or among the sons of Bilhah and among the sons of Zilpah, the wives of his father. Interesting way to put that, the wives of his father, not like they were his mothers or something, but they're just his wives, the wives of his father. Let's see here. Katie, you can pick it up there.
So Joseph delivered a bad report about his brothers to their father.
That's right. All right. So if I were to have circled Hey V and asked you to tell me all about it, what would you say on a quiz?
I would say that so I just remember that Bo was to come, right? Yes.
Right. Good.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what kind of, like, if it's call or if it's, I don't know what its opinion is.
Okay.
I just recognize that it's a new word and that it means to come.
Good. Well,
yeah.
so you know what it means. I mean, that's probably
Carry.
the most important part.
Yeah.
So it has something to do with carrying or riding or something like that. All right. What's the root?
Beit Aleph.
That's right. Beit Aleph. Sometimes it's spelled Beit Vav Aleph. That's actually the root, Beit Vav.
Okay.
The Vav just disappears almost all the time, except for when it's called third masculine singular, which is not here. So a root is what we only have two letters left, Beit Aleph. What has been added to the root?
Okay, so it's a hiffle because it's to cause doesn't carry. So we see that because we see the hey at the beginning.
That's right. Good. So we added a hey. We also added this Hirik Yod, which is a clear sign of a hiffil.
Okay, yes.
Hey and a Hirik Yod.
That's right.
So good. So that's the first, the second question. The first question is, what's the root? Second question is, what's the binyan? So it's hiffil. Third question is, what's its conjugation? And we have, we got three now. The perfect, the imperfect, and the infinitive. Which of those three do you think it is?
Perfect.
Good. It is a perfect. The hiffil, if you see a hey on the front and you know it's a hiffil, then it has to be a perfect or another conjugation that we haven't studied yet. But it's definitely perfect. Good. And you always default there unless you start doing the dance in your mind that we
right.
Class, right? If one of those things has been added to the front, then you know it's not a perfect. All right.
Right.
Good. So there are 6 things you need to tell me about verbs. You told me the root, you told me the binyan, you told me the conjugation. What are the other 3 things?
Person, number, and gender.
That's good. So tell me those 3 things if you can.
Third masculine singular.
That's right. So nothing's been added on to the end, so that's a nice way to figure that out. And also context helps us because, Joseph is the subject. So Joseph is third person in this context. He's masculine and it's just him. All right, very good. So Joseph carried a report. What kind of report? This is our adjective, a bad report. Concerning, so all can mean concerning, and that was probably the challenging part here. Concerning his brothers unto his father. Tov mode. Jonah's turn.
Jacob loved Joseph more than all his sons because he was a son to him of his old age.
Yeah.
And he made for him a fancy robe
The fancy robe.
with
Nice.
a frilly collar.
With the frilly collar. Very good. Let's see here. Or zero. Well, we have one verb, but it's too easy. Let's take a look at ketonet. I'm going to circle that and have you tell me about it.
I think ketonet was a masculine noun. That's just I'm guessing it was. I can't remember actually. It's bound.
Mm-hmm.
Singular.
Good. I think that's all the things that I want to know. Well, what's the root? I guess you can tell me that.
I think the root's kaf, tav, nun, tav.
Yeah. That's right. So I do believe that has 4 letters, ketonet, because that's how we've always seen it. It is bound to its adjective over here. You might remember that the adjective never lies. So if you look at your adjective, it can tell you a lot about what noun you're looking at. So pasim. Well, pasim is a tricky word because it looks plural, but I don't think it is plural. I think that's actually how pasim is spelled. So that's not the best example. But yeah, you did very good. So this is a noun. You got me the root. It is third masculine singular, and it is bound. So those are all the sort of things you're going to need to tell us about nouns. All right. Any questions on this panel? All right. Let's take a look at this one. I got all lost. I guess we're back to Julie. Did I miss anybody? Don't think so. Where are you, Julie? Okay, Julie, pick up from there.
Okay, we are on the next page. Is that right? No.
If you can see the screen.
Oh, we're still on the next one. Sorry. I'm sorry. Wow. Shoot. Okay, I'm not sure I can do. I have trouble with all of the Aleph words.
Okay.
So I can hardly do any of these right now.
Okay.
I mean, because I am looking at, so I don't feel like I'm comfortable with this at all because the other one I had looked at, but I have few words circled, but I don't know this.
Okay, well, that gives us an opportunity then to practice asking the right questions.
Okay.
So most of the time when you're going to be reading Hebrew, you're not going to have read what you've looked at. So you have to learn to ask the right questions so you can figure out what the words actually mean. So the first question is, what can you take off? When you look at this word, you have no idea what it is, so you got to start taking things off until you recognize what you're looking at.
So that's like his brothers.
All right, well, what did you take off to get there?
I took off the possessive of the vav, and then at the beginning is just and, right?
Good, so you took all that off and you got to brothers.
Yeah. So brothers, so his brothers.
Word. Good. What is the typical word order in Hebrew?
Subject and then verb.
Okay, good. Subject.
So his brothers, and so that's the verb of they saw. So that's like so his brothers saw that because of, see, this is where I go, oto. That because of the love of the father for them, or the father of
so key can mean a lot of things. Because is one of them, but there are other options.
So his brothers saw that.
So and his brothers saw that.
Yeah.
Saw that. Him
Loved.
Their father loved. So
Okay.
we talked about this in class. You weren't there,
Yeah.
but Oto got moved to the front of this clause. Instead, this is a subject. The object got moved to the front of the clause for emphasis, right? So the
Okay.
authors, you can do that in Hebrew. If you want to emphasize something, you have freedom to move it anywhere in the sentence that you want. It's rare, so when it happens, you know that this is basically like putting it in italics or something like that, right? So him, their brother loved.
Okay.
Echav.
Um, from all the brothers, of all the brothers.
From all his brothers.
Brothers, of all his brothers. And they hated him.
That's right. Hated him. Velo.
And then, but no,
You remember this word? What can you take
I
off?
know. So it's kala. Is it a call? Is it a call? Or
Yeah, so you could take the yod off. You might think, hey, this could be an imperfect. Maybe that yod got attached to the front.
right,
Be left, and maybe this vav could come off if it
right.
is a third common plural. And then you're left with kaf lamed, but we don't know any words that are just spelled kaf lamed. If you check that up in the dictionary, you're just going to get nowhere, right? So you're like, okay, well, maybe I took something off I shouldn't have. Maybe you leave the yod on and keep the kaf and the lamed. Yakal. Anybody know yakal?
Isn't that to be able?
That's exactly right. To be able.
But
And then you got this oo on the end. So they were not able to do what? What is this?
Okay, so they were not able to speaking, right?
Right? They weren't able
To
to
speak to him or
him l'shalom.
with peace.
That's right.
So they just so they hated him and they just weren't able to speak to him with peace,
That's right. They weren't able to speak to him with nice words.
with nice words. Okay.
So this could be speak about him in a nice way, in a peaceful way, or speak with him in a peaceful way, or it could mean both at the same time. It's hard to say. But very good. So, I mean, you looked at this and you didn't really know what you were looking at, but when you slowed down and took it word by word, you're able to translate the whole thing, right? So that's what I encourage you and everyone to do. Is just take it slow, ask yourself the right questions. What can I take off? Always reflect on word order, trying to figure out what word order you're working with and why. And then things tend to fall into place if you slow down enough. All right. Sarah, you get a nice little box here. Yay.
Yes.
I'm going to make you do another one just because.
Oh, come on, Jared. I think it's Joseph dreamed dreams.
That is what it says, yes. And Joseph dreamt dreams, right? Yeah. Next page. All right. Yeah, we got to make you work. You've taken too much time off. All right, so you're going to pick it up here. Joseph dreamt dreams.
Okay. And then I think Joseph, when I was reading through it yesterday, I thought it was envy, but I don't know why I thought that.
Okay. Well, that's not right, but it's a good guess. So this is, of course, our verb. What do you think the root is? What can you take off?
I think we take off the end, the dalet. Or no.
Okay, dalet is, yeah, you're going to want to leave your dalet. Dalet's not a word that, or a letter that gets added on.
So we want to take our H off.
That's right. We're going to take the hay off. So chuck the hay. There's a doggish in the gimel. There's a doggish in the gimel because a letter has disappeared and got assimilated into it. What letters get pushed out or actually get pushed into the next letter? Anybody? What's our options?
I think in this case it's a noon.
That's right. What are our other options though?
Lamed.
That's right. Lamed and noon get pushed into the next letter. Let's imagine you didn't know that either one of these. So if you tried lamed legade, you could check up legade and you wouldn't find it in the dictionary. And then you check up nagad. And you might even know nagad if you think enough about it. But it means to report. We actually learned it as hagid. I believe that's how the vocab word was given to us.
Yeah.
Hagid means to report.
So that's to report.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
So Joseph reported Halomo.
He reported the dream
What's this O on the end?
to his dream. His dream.
That's right. He reported his dream le'echav,
To his brothers.
to his brothers. That's right. Okay, I'm going to circle Hagid, and I want you to tell me everything you can about it. There are 6 things. Remember, for verbs, there are 6 things. So the first one, what's the root? We just talked about that. Do you remember what we came up with?
No, but I know I didn't know it.
Okay. So there's a letter that has disappeared, and it's gone in here, and it's the noon, Nagad. Noon, Gimel, Dalet, Nagad. So for the root, you don't need to give me any vowels. The root is just the 3 letters or 4 letters or whatever the root is. So Nagad. What's
The
the
N
noon?
would be right there, so it would be GND. Is that how it be?
Noon, Gimel, Dalet. The
Yeah.
noon's gone, but noon, Gimel, Dalet.
Okay. Nagad.
What's the binyan? We know 3, Kol, Hifil, and Piel. Which one of those do you think it is?
I think, well, I thought the call, but I don't know the Hipthia one. And I think that one you guys said is the one that gets rid of things. So I'm going to guess that one.
The Hifil, so when we think of binyans, look at the name of the binyan. Hifil, it starts with an H. So whenever you have a verb that a H sound has been added to, it's likely a Hifil, right?
Which lesson is that, so I can make sure
I think we just covered that last week. So you can look at the videos I uploaded to Foxtail, and it'll go over those. But it is lesson 33, maybe?
Okay, I'll go rewatch it.
No, it's not that one. I don't know. You can check it up.
Okay.
Or we can talk about it after class or after this session a little bit if you have time.
Okay.
Okay, so Hifil, good. Is it perfect, imperfect, or infinitive?
Yeah, I guess I'm confused with the Hifil ending. So is the endings going to hold the same? Like, because I know my perfect and imperfect. I guess that's where I'm feeling a little
That's
lost.
right. Yeah. So we probably should chat just a little bit to make sure we can catch you up on the different binyans. But yes, if the binyan changes, the spelling of the perfect and the imperfect does not change, right? That's very consistent. So if you're looking at this and you think call, it's still going to be call even if it's, If you're looking at this and you think it's an imperfect, then it is going to be an imperfect even if it's call, Hifil, or PL or something else, right? Or if you're thinking that this is a perfect, then it still will be that even if the binyan has changed to something that you don't recognize. This is a Hifil perfect because we do not have a yod, a tav, and aleph or noon attached to the front, right?
Yeah.
How we know if it's an imperfect. All right, let's go ahead and keep translating just a little bit more, and then we'll see what questions we have. I think we'll go with Lindy. Lindy, pick up from there.
Okay, this gets pretty complicated. I think it says, "Listen, please, to my dream." The first part.
All right. So.
Oh wait, I'm looking at something else.
Yeah, you must be. Look at the screen right up here. We got to here, so we're picking out Vahem Osifu. This line right there.
Okay, I think I'm in the wrong section.
Okay, we're on page R43.
Oh yeah.
I'm on page R43. I don't know what page everybody is. Is that the right page? People can tell me.
Yeah, I was way ahead. I don't know why. Okay, so that's much easier. So Joseph reported his dreams to his brothers.
Okay, that's what you just told us. So tell us what the next 2 lines say.
Okay, so Oh, I wrote down what that word means, but I don't remember.
Anybody know this one? Was Sifu?
To add.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And they added to.
So ode is a tricky word, but it can mean
Oh.
yet still or again or something like that. So they added again, Sano Oto.
So they added to their hatred of him?
That's right. They added yet again to their hatred, or they added hatred of him. All Halomotov.
Oh, Oh, and they wanted to kill him? So.
Well, not yet. That's true, but that's not what this says. So they added hatred to him. All Halomoto is concerning his dreams, or because of his dreams.
Oh, right.
But all Devarav
And what he said.
That's right, concerning his words. That's right. All right, so some tricky stuff in here. I'm going to circle Sano and ask you to tell me everything you can about it.
Sano. Oh, okay. So that is hatred. That's trying to look at it in context.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. Or is it imperfect? No?
Not quite.
Okay, so it's imperfect.
No, it's not that either.
What?
What's our third option?
Is that the one that we just learned in the past?
It is
Infinitive?
infinitive. That is
Oh,
right.
because of the O, right? So look at the vowels.
The O
That
helps
helps
us. That's right. Also, the fact that we already had a verb can be a clue. Infinitives will typically come in a subordinate clause that follows a main clause with the main verb. If this were imperfect, it'd be spelled yes, no. The yod would be added, and then we still have that O vowel, but the yod's just been stripped off. Most infinitives will just start with the shva right at the beginning, like we see here, sano. So it's an infinitive. Once you figure out it's an infinitive, that's all you have to tell me, because infinitives aren't inflected for anything special, right? So it's just an infinitive. That's what it is. So if I happen to circle an infinitive, you just need to figure that out and move on. You figure out the root, you tell me that it, well, you could tell me the binyan as well. Any guesses on the binyan? Call, hif, LPL?
I think it's call.
Yeah, good. It is call. So for the infinitives, you need the root, the binyan, and then the conjugation, and you stop there. All right. Good. So I'm going to try to make a recording of this today. I just don't know if I'm going to have time to pull that off. But I do recommend that you keep translating through it. I have another 20 minutes or so. Anybody that wants to keep translating or has other questions, I'll hang out and work with you all. Otherwise, do focus quite a bit of time on this to prepare for your quiz. And also remember, any preparation you do for your quizzes now is essentially also preparation for your final. So the more you read through the readings, the better prepared you'll be for the final. All right.
Okay, I have a request, and I don't know, we could go through this and that would be helpful, but I could almost use, and I don't have to do it right now, but an overview of what we're talking about just to help my brain try to summarize that as like just like what we are kind of doing, but maybe we could be it in a more organized fashion when you're talking about which letters get pushed aside, so we can kind of be alert of that. And then just to remember, it's an infinitive if this is happening, or it's imperfect because we have the yod. So I just get I could help someone walk me through, this is how I know.
Good. I bet a bunch of people could use that. So I think in class tomorrow, that'll be the first thing we do.
Okay.
We'll just kind of do a review of everything we've talked about, and talk about the questions we need to ask and how we answer them and how we break things down. Right. I think that'll be a good conversation for us to have.
Okay.
So we'll start there. And I think it'll be easier to have face-to-face as opposed to, I'll need a board and I want to draw and make charts and diagrams, and I think that'll be good.
I mean, it's hard for me to figure out how to memorize, and I'm not really obviously good about getting the vocabulary right. So that might help me too, in terms of recognizing the vocabulary might help me to put a frame on it. Yeah. But there's so many charts, and then it's like I was going through last night, just looking and trying to remember what is what, how do I look at this? And some of them are confusing because they are actually the same conjugation in different parts, right? You mean, so
yeah. Well, and I hear that, and I'll just say that vocabulary is the number one thing that you need to do for a language. Grammar is secondary to that. Grammar is obviously helpful in making sense of things, but vocab is the number one thing. So if you feel like you're falling behind on vocab, just spend as much time as you can on that.
Okay.
And it just pays off. The more vocab you memorize now, the better your life will be next week and next semester, and obviously moving forward. So.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that since I'm recording this, I'll just keep translating all the way through it, and then I'll upload the whole thing to Foxtail. But I'll pause here to try to answer any other questions. If you want to stay as I translate through it, great. You can talk with me as we go through it. Otherwise, I'll just do it by myself. I don't really care. But at least it'll be recorded and you can go through it on your own time whenever. But does anybody else have a specific question they want to ask before they leave? Okay. Well, Toda Rabah, thank you very much. Lehit wrote, we'll see you later, specifically tomorrow. If you want to hang out, I'm just going to translate all of it. I'm going to parse a bunch of verbs, ask myself a bunch of questions, and answer them just like I do in the normal recordings I've been uploading. But if somebody stays here, then I'll probably ask you some questions as well, and you can help me translate if you want. All right. Otherwise, we'll see you all later.
And if you guys need any help, am I still muted? No, I'm not. If I'll be in the library from about probably 3 until class, and I'll just go over the reading. We won't really say it in Hebrew. We'll just do the reading like we did today. And we'll stop if you have any questions, but just kind of get that English translation and working on it. So if anyone's willing to do that, I'll be in the library and we'll help during that time.
Cool. Thanks, Jake. That'll be very valuable. All right. Well, see if I can pound this out in 15 minutes. Where do we leave off? Right here. Concerning his dreams and concerning his words. Hinei chalamti chalom od. Behold, I dreamt a dream again. V'hinei hashemesh. And behold, the sun. V'hayareach. And the moon. V'achad asar kokavim. And 11, so this is 1 and this is 10, so 11 kokavim stars. Hishtachavu li, were bowing down to me. They were prostrating themselves. It's one of my favorite words. I'll never circle it, but it's a hishtafel. It's the binyan that we haven't learned yet. The hey, the shin, and the top have been added. The root is chava. The hey has been lost. And it's a third common plural perfect. It's a great word. And it means to repeatedly bow oneself down in a prostrated position. We will often see it translated as worship, but I think that's a rather poor translation because this is really a physical act of bowing down before a person. If either of you two have questions as I read along, let me know. Bahu Seper El Aviv. And he recounted unto his father, Ve'el Echav, Ve'aviv, and unto his brothers. And his father Garbo rebuked him, rebuked upon him. Rebuke is one of those verbs that requires a prepositional phrase as its object in Hebrew. In English, to rebuke does not require a prepositional phrase, so we just dump the preposition altogether. So, and his father rebuked him, va'amar lo, and said to him, Ma ha-chalom hazeh. What is this dream? Asher chalamta, which you have dreamt. This is second person masculine, the singular, call perfect. Havo, navo, ani, va'im mecha, va'achecha, lehishtacha. I think this is spelled wrong. I mentioned that last time. I got to check. Lehishtachavot lecha ortza. What is this dream which you have dreamt? Will we surely, I and your mother and your brothers, will we surely come to prostrate ourselves to you to the ground? So there's a lot going on here. Here we have the interrogative hey attached to an infinitive absolute, which is preceding and a call imperfect, first common plural. This noon tells us it's first common plural. It's been attached to the front. Notice that these two verbs share the same root, so the first one must be an infinitive absolute. So we won't translate it. We will simply add emphasis. It's that emphasis word that we came across on the previous page. So surely will we come. And the we is all of these people that are lined up after that. I and your mother and your brothers. So that is the subject. It's compound subject. Here's an infinitive construct, to prostrate ourselves to you. And then this here is the hey locale, or the directive hey. We just learned that as a vocab word here in this section. If you look at the bottom of the page, I think it's down there or on the next page. And it's just another way to add direction. So the Lamed can do that. A number of prepositions can do that, or this word attached to the end of a noun can also do it. And they're saying, should we prostrate ourselves all the way down to the ground? It's kind of a repetitive word here, emphasizing. Yeah, go ahead.
Is that eretz? Is that
that's
the root?
Right. The root is eretz. That's right.
I get lost. I just want to make sure I can find the root still.
Good, absolutely. Yep. So the hay's been added. We dumped the hay and we're left with eretz, which is the root. Great question. All right. Ve'echav ken ne'u vo, and his brothers canard him. Why is my brain not working?
Bestowing honor, because bestowing honor, or no, his brothers.
That's what you get when you don't sleep. Let me check it out.
I thought it was that they rebuked him, or they envy him. Kane.
Oh, there it is.
Kane.
Him. Yes.
I did my vocab, Jared. I just can't see it. I promise.
You do know vocab. Good. That is envy. The little picture is the guy looking at the stack of ice cream cones. Yes.
Oh.
They envied him, and his father watched the matter, or guarded the matter, or held the matter close, we would say in English. Kept an eye on it is the idiom we would use in English. So his brothers were just kind of pissed off about it, but his father was a little concerned because there was some family conflict taking place. All right, that's actually a really rare word. I think it only occurs, our textbook tells me, like 8 times, but it's one that I should know because of this story. Ache Yosef holku lirot et tzon avihem b'Shechem. Joseph's brothers walked to shepherd the sheep of their father in Shechem. So they walked. This is a call perfect first or a third common plural. To shepherd. Here we have an infinitive absolute. Direct object marker. Yep. Vayakov Amar El Yosef. And Jacob said unto Joseph, Halo achecha holchu lishchem. Have not your brothers walked to Shechem? Eshlach otcha alehem. I think I'll send you, or this is the irreal imperfect, so surely I will send you unto them. The brother Yosef answers, Hineni, which is saying, sure, literally, behold me, but in Hebrew, it's like, I am at your service. That's probably a nice way to translate that. Any questions? I'll pause. You guys good?
Can I ask you real quick on the last one?
Mm-hmm.
So up above, so and his brothers envied him, and his father owed his word, or hadavar. Why is it the hadavar?
Well, this is an idiomatic phrase, which means an idiom is a phrase that when you translate it literally doesn't actually mean what we intend it to mean, right?
Okay.
So like in English, I kept an eye on something. I didn't literally keep my eye on it, right? And a foreign speaker of English has a really hard time with that phrase. Well, this phrase is really challenging in Hebrew because it's an idiom. And his father guarded the matter, which means he kept an eye on it. It's an idiom that we would translate in English as he kept an eye on it, or he observed it. He observed the matter because he's concerned. So the var can mean the word or the matter, the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry, I was not paying attention.
Please ask questions. Yeah, this is a recording.
Yeah.
We're doing this for you too, but also so everybody else.
So one other question that I have, I'm sorry about this. I have so many questions, but and then the last thing that Jacob is saying, al yachem. So why do I put the yod in there? To them. Why do just the very last word?
Which word are we looking at?
Right there, what you're pointing at.
This ale.
That's to them, right? Just to them.
Unto them.
But why do I put the yod in there? Just because I'm combining it and I need a yod to connect it, or?
Yeah, the preposition is bound to its suffix. So just like when we add a suffix onto a noun, the noun changes its form. The preposition also changes its form when it's being bound to something else.
And it needs a yod to connect it? It just needs a yod. So that freaks me out a little bit, the yods.
I know.
The yods and the olives freak me out. That's my problem with Hebrew.
Yeah, so if you go review the suffix table, so it'll actually lay it all out. And this is the third masculine plural suffix attached to a plural noun. This form is what it looks like when it's attached to a plural noun or when it's attached to a preposition. This yod shows up.
Okay.
So you're going to see a yod there. We see it with his brothers as well. Let's see if we can find his brothers. It's a very common word in this story. Well, we see a yod here, his words. Where's another? His father, the yod shows up. His brothers, the yod is there as well. This yod is just kind of like a connecting letter that holds the two pieces together.
Okay. And there's not necessarily a vowel ever with it. It's just the yod.
Well, there's always a vowel. It's just the vowel's going to change depending on what it's attached to. So if it's attached to a singular noun, it'll be a hirik. If it's attached to a plural noun, it's going to be a kametz. And if it's attached to a preposition, it's going to be the tsere. So there you have it. It's going to be spelled a bunch of different ways. That's the really tricky part.
Yeah.
And what kind of trips us out. All right, let's tackle this panel. Telech na tir et shalom achecha. You should go, please, to see the peace of your brothers. So this is an irreal imperfect. The root is halak. The tav's been attached to the front. So go, and na means please. Go please see or observe the peace of your brothers, which is an idiom. In English, we'd say, go see how your brothers are doing. And the peace of the sheep, ve'et shalom hatzon, v'tashiv li davar. And cause to return to me a word, or send to me a note. Let me know what you observe. So another idiomatic phrase. This is a hifil imperfect, second masculine singular. We know it's a hifil because of the hirik yod. The root is shin, vav, bet, shuv, which means to return. So that's kind of a tricky word because it's a weak. It's a weak word because the vav is fallen out. Mm-hmm. So cause or send to me, cause to return to me a note or a word, letting me know how they are is kind of implied. But Yosef halak achar echav, and Joseph walked after his brothers. Umatza otam, and he found them. Vehem ra'u oto me rahok, and they saw him from a distance. Uva terem yakrav alehem, and before he arrived unto them. So this is before, and this is an imperfect, call imperfect verb from karav, which means to draw near to. So third masculine singular, unto them. V'omru oto lahamito, and they said about him to kill him. So they said concerning, this is a really tricky phrase, I still struggle with it. And they said, I like about him, to kill him. Hineb all ha-chadomot hazeh, behold, the Lord of dreams. And then this is this. Hazeh means this. Behold, this is the Lord of dreams. So Lord is bound to chachalomot. Naharog oto, let's kill him. This is an irreal imperfect. Let's kill him. Shame on them.
For the to kill, because I learned to kill is harag.
That's right.
The N on the front side is, I'm trying to look at my list of all my options. I don't know what it is.
The noon is the imperfect that's been added to the front.
Right, because that's the, I made myself a cheat sheet when I was studying. Noon's on the front. Okay, imperfect. Okay. I can do that.
Yeah, so we can add a yod, a tav, an aleph, or noon onto the front of a word to make it imperfect. And the noon is the first common plural thing that gets added to the front, and it means we. We shall kill, or we will kill him.
Right.
All right.
I can do that.
Last page here. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more. It got a little fuzzy up in that top corner. Reuven Shema, Reuben heard, Vahitziel oto miyadam, and he saved him from their hand. So this is, the root is nitzal. The noon has disappeared. It's been shoved into the tzadeh. That's why the tzadeh has a dogish there, nitzal. Nitzal means to snatch out. We actually learned it in its hifil form because that's the only form that it occurs in hitzil. We know it's hifil because the hay's been added and the hirik yod's been added as well. So remember, hifil has a H on the front. Hifil has a hay on the front, right? The word, the name hifil actually tells us what is added to the Hebrew word. So he saved.
What is the root of that again?
Netzal, noon, tzadeh, lamed. The noon has been shoved into the tzadeh. That's what the dagesh is. Netzal. Mayadam is tricky. We got to take the mem off of both ends, this mem and this mem, and we get left with yod. And we know yod, it's just hard to get there because the mems have been added to it, and it looks like something else. But it's from their hand. And this is Reuben here. He's talking. Lo naharog oto. Let us not kill him. Reuven amar alehem. And Reuben said unto them, Lahashlik oto el habor. To throw him. So let's, and he said unto them, to throw him unto the well. Here's another hifil. The hay's been added with the hirik yod. Throw him under the well. Asher bamidbar, which was in the desert. We had to add in was because there's no verb, which was in the desert. Lama'an hashivo el aviv. In order that, this is a fun preposition, in order that.
That lamo oma, in order that? Is that the normal way we see it?
Yeah, lama'an. Lama'an is the whole preposition. What did you ask?
I thought it was, maybe.
I think you're thinking of a different word.
Yeah.
This is a new vocab word, in order that. I think it's on this page somewhere. In order that he could return him unto his father. So here we actually have a hifil. This looks like an interrogative hey, but it is actually just a hey of the hifil. The reason why this isn't a full patak is because we have a suffix added on to the end, and the vowel's been reduced to chataf, patak. Here we have the hirik yod, which also tells us this is a hifil. The root is shu, shin, vav, bait. The vav is fallen out. And here we have a third masculine singular suffix. It is a perfect third masculine singular verb with a third masculine singular suffix. There's a lot going on with that little word. So that he, the root or the subject here is Reuben, so that Reuben could return him. Him is referring to Joseph. So Reuben wanted to return Joseph unto his father. That's why he didn't want to kill him. He thought he was being tricky here. But things kind of fall apart. Ka'asher ba Yosef el echab heim hifshitu et Yosef et kutonto et kutonet hapasim asher alav. Let's see here. When, this means when, kasher, when Joseph arrived unto his brothers, they stripped Joseph of his kutonet. And then it tells us more about the kutonet. The kutonet hapasim, which is the fancy robe, which was upon him. So that's what this picture is telling us. Here we have a hifil. Here, this is actually a binyanim we haven't learned. This is a pu'al, so I won't circle that one for you, but it's a pu'al. I'm going to keep moving so we can finish translating this before 10:30. V'lokhu v'hishlichu oto habora, and they seized and they threw him to the well. Here's the directive hey added on to the end of the noun bor. The root of this is beit vav resh, but the vav's fallen out. And here's a definite article, hey patak, doubling. So hey has been added to the front, and hey has been added to the end. So they threw him to the well. All sorts of stuff going on there. Almost there. Ha-bor rake, and the well was empty. Lo male, let's see here. It was not full. Ein bo mayim, there was in it no water. So that's just three ways to say the exact same thing. It was empty, it was not full, there was no water in it. Very repetitive. which we'll get used to in Hebrew. There's a lot of repetition in just the way that they would write stories. V'hem yoshvu le'echol lehem, and they returned to eat bread. So they just essentially tried to kill their brother, and now they're really hungry because of how hard of work that was. So they returned to eat bread. V'nosu einehem, and they lifted up their eyes. V'hinei, and behold, Orchat Yishmaelim Holchu Megilad Lahorid Mitzrayimah. So a caravan of Yishmaelim, caravan of Ishmaelites, they walked from Gilead, the place Gilead in English, to go down to Mitzrayim, Egypt. This is a verb in a binyan that we have not learned. It's hofal, I believe. We'll learn that some other day. It's very similar to the hifo, but it's an infinitive. And they're going down to Egypt. And they're a little upset about that. And that's the end of her story, right? It's kind of a cliffhanger here. Joseph's in the well, and these people are coming by to go down to Egypt. All right. I'm going to stop recording because this file is going to get massive. How do I stop recording?